Hey guys, here's a deck list I made a few months ago. It was actually one of the deck lists I was considering to do for like OLT. Um, I got some gameplay on it. I think it's sitting like solidly like tier 3. I won't say even tier 2. I'm saying tier 3 like realistically as in I don't want to like talk it up too much, but I think there's definitely something here. It could be tier 2 for all I know. I definitely think you could use like a little bit of a numbers play. Might be some cards that could get added in. But if you want to take a listen to this video, by all means, I think this is definitely a good starting point. I think this is just one of those decks, in general, Knowledge Piccolo is one of those decks that you're just never really going to have a definitive list for. People play it so differently. So maybe you have some critiques, maybe you have some tips and pointers you could give me, how you like to build it. This is just my take on it. Generally speaking, for me, the best making cards are still a lot of the set 1 cards. I did splash, obviously, some of the other staple cards that have come out in the later sets, like from set 7, such as like Buffer and Clamp, as well as a couple fancy cards, which maybe you don't think are necessary. By all means, if you want to debate it, go for it in the comments. You can always message me, whatever you want to do. But anyway, guys, this is my take on it. Again, don't take it as the Holy Bible. I'm not a knowledge player, like a long-term knowledge player. I've always used it as a test. It's always been one of my test decks since set 1. I just never really took it seriously and played it like in a competitive tournament or anything. But this is about what I got here. Like of course got the knowledge mastery. I chose the set 1 level 1 Piccolo. Just it's consistent. I don't like the evolution level 1 personally. I like that this is a decent backup too to just get a little chip energy attack. I just don't like doing the evolution one. It's just so like hit and miss for me. It feels like, even though a lot of times I know it works really good for people, I just don't feel like I draw Dragon Ball 5 left and right turn 1 to where I'm getting like a million anger or all this other stuff. So we also have, of course, the Premier 2. You can't not run this card. It is so stupid good in Knowledge Mastery. If you're going MPPV, whatever, crits, it just does everything you need it to. It is so good. There's no reason not to run this thing. And of course, this level 3, it's so hard not to run this level 3. It is leaps and bounds ahead of his other 2 level 3s. It gives you card draw, can potentially give you anger on hit if you did discard a card, gives you stages. It's so good. It's just like leaps and bounds. This level 2, like level 2 Piccolo has a little bit more of a contest depending on what your deck is going to be doing, but this level 3 is just stupid silly. And of course the level 4 Piccolo, I chose the Premier one. So I did go 3 premier levels. This one's really a toss-up. The way I have the deck built, I didn't really care for like the evolution 4. I don't really care about other people playing balls, to be honest. I have ways to take them. I don't really care if they use mine. It's hard for them to take balls from me with crit damage, at least with this level. And this level can potentially really swing games at the end. A 7 life card attack is nothing to laugh at, on top of the fact that you can potentially put, like 4 or 5 or more cards in your deck pretty easily by the end of the game. Super nice, really convenient. And so I chose this one. I could see arguments for the newest level, the Revelation 4, but you have to be really running a lot of physical attacks to make it worth it, to me, to be using the level 4. So again, on at least the level 4, the Revelation 4 does have a power that lets you rejuvenate a card, or sorry, shuffle a card into your deck. So that does immediately always guarantee you an anger, with the knowledge mastery, but I'd rather have this one, to be honest. So, but of course we run all 7 Namek Dragon Balls. If you don't know what these do, I'm sorry. They're all just stupidly good. Namekian Wish, at a 1, of course. I think this card is just too silly and good not to run. Giving you some selective rejuve is really nice, especially towards the end of the game when you get some more balls out. It can help you out. Combat ending, combo control is always good. Knowledge loves Dragon Ball, so of course you got to run Radar and Clan, just to get you those like mid-combat Dragon Ball 5s and 3s especially. Even the Ball 2 and 4. Like, really, like, these 4 here are the best 4. Well, no, they're all good, but this ball is the best ball. This ball will always be the best ball in the game. This is probably the best. I will argue it's one of the best cards in the entire game. I'd argue it is the best card in the game, for sure. So anyway, those are our dead card counts. Now, I thought about running to making growth. I think I had it at one point and I cut it. Piccolo's really good at getting to level 3, so maybe growth needs to go in here. It's really up to you. I wanted to keep this kind of light and focused. So I might slap it in at some point, maybe cut some numbers down on the attacks. Those are the really the tag line is where I think there's a lot of play in this deck, but I wanted to just be dedicated to the balls, so we of course go into the event line. A lot of events. Namekian loves events. Hybrid defense staple. You got to run this card. It's super silly how much anger you can get off this card potentially, as well as the usefulness of this card. Overtime is another big. This card's really in here for the comboing for the anger. You play it as an action, rejuvenate a card, get another card in your hand. There's an anger. You get another attack that can potentially rejuvenate you one or two cards. There's another anger or two. So you also get weighted clothing. Weighted clothing is really good. Again, this card's giving you anger out of your pile, gives you out of combat actions. I'm gonna throw some music on. I completely forgot to do that. Play some this mix here. We got confrontation. I chose confrontation and sphere in this deck at twos because I like them both for different reasons. You know, there are just going to be times where you don't have any rush to really sequence in this deck. So when you don't have a rush of sequencing, I think Confra works really well. I'll turn this up just a little bit. Tug of War, again, this is an anger card. We don't run allies. It's one of the choices you can make when you build a Namekian Piccolo deck, is if you run allies or not. I chose not. I just like running Tug of War, less space, less dead. So, ran Tug of War, really, really good card. Gives you an anger, lowers their anger, kills an ally. Super good. Got a train going off in the background too. We have Time is the Worst tool, Heroic Energy Sphere again. This gives you anger, so more insult to injury back with set 1. And then on top of it, you have Time is the Worst tool, just staple. American Direct Strike, this card is really sick. This is a 2 anger card. It works really good with Piccolo, who is drawing with his level 2 and 3. So you can top deck whatever card you need for the situation. Really nice. We have Right Throw again. This card is one of those cards where it's super awesome when you see it at the right time, and then it really sucks when you don't have a Dragon Ball out. So, I don't know. I kind of almost want to put it at 2, but we're trying to push anger really hard, so. Rush, threw it in here for some anger hate, really, in the Endurance. It's an anger card. It can't be too bad, right? I don't know. It's maybe more of a 2 of card, I think. It's a card that I want to like more, but it really is just really... It looks really cool, but then you play it and you're like, wow, this does literally nothing. So, definitely a card that could see a cut, or at least a cut down. Lethal Chop, I think, has to stay, though. This card is super sick. Yeah, it doesn't always give you anger, but you can shuffle any card on the board away. So, pretty nice, and it can deal crit damage. So again, really nice. Only problem with it is it's banish after use. So, Dev Blow at 2, because we can recur it. Super good, always going to be good. I don't even need to talk about how much I love this card. I love when I can actually fit it in decks. It's really hard nowadays. I always try to push styled synergy above all else, but Knowledge doesn't really care about styled cards, so that's what's really nice. And that's our physical attacks. I'm running through this really quick. I mean, most of these cards are pretty self-explanatory. Namekian Knowledge kind of always craves the same kind of cards, but as far as choices, I mean, I could see this in the... Yeah, this is the one card I could see floating. Otherwise, the rest of these need to stay. They're all pretty good. They all... I mean, Right Throw is hit and miss, so 2 of could work. Double Strike as our first energy attack. I love this card. I think this needs to be in like every Namekian deck ever, so you can fight me on that, but this card is just too much utility. It makes it hard for people to want to cap your balls between level 2 and this. More ally hate, more anger control. I mean, it's just so good. Maxwell is like a card that is kind of a toss-up for some people at times, but when you play against anger deck, I mean, you'll never regret having this card, and it's a 6 life for 2 with 2 endurance. In the survival matchups, it goes a long way too, so it's definitely a good 2 of still. Maybe a 3 of if you really were worried about anger. Stupid good, but between this card and Ball 2, Dev Blow, you shouldn't really have a problem with anger decks. Of course, Targeted Strike is like a staple, I think, in any like good MPPV Namekian. You gotta have it at like a 2. And what's really nice is that with it at 2, you can just keep passing on it, keeping it in your deck, rejuvenating it until you want to use it for the effect to take the ball. And you have overtime to go tutor these out. So the reason a lot of these energies are at 2, all my energies are at 2, is because other than Direct Strike, or sorry, Targeted Strike here, they're all rejuvable. They don't banish after use, so you can put it back in, and then you can overtime for them when you need them. Excuse me. So maybe you have a ball, 3 or 5 out that you want to use, and you think it's going to hit, then you go overtime, for targeted strike, and voila, now you're just rolling in the anger and the cards, so really good. Or you have to take care of an anger deck, you grab Maxwell, or you need some utility, double strike. Or you have a bunch of Dragon Balls out, and you're like, fuck it, let's go grab Onslaught because I got timed, you know, and I'm never going to hit targeted strike or something. So you go Onslaught, and now you get 2 anger off Onslaught's double use. So this card is huge, and this card is why we run 2 of all the energies. As far as cards that I would cut out of the energy line go, I really don't think I'd cut any of these. I think they're all really useful. I think that 2s, they're fine. If I was going to add anything, nothing that I would add into this personally. It's really the physical attacks I would play with maybe a little bit, like getting rid of Rush for something else would be good. So, when we get to the blocks, I mean, you can argue about numbers, I suppose, but, excuse me. I think Buffer is just pretty much stable at this point. You don't see Namekian Knowledge deck without Buffer, and same thing with Clamp. It's hard to not see these cards. You could definitely play with Clamp on numbers, but Endurance is just too good. And Buffer is just really good. I run 2 Energy Guard, 1 Posture. I mainly run Posture at 1 of because there's going to be matchups where I really want to see the energy blocks really bad again, and so 1 Posture rejuvenating itself is going to be actually really nice, knowing that like I'll be rejuvenating cards and all, but this is a banish after use block, so I don't ever get to see this again, and this doesn't rejuve itself. So knowing that there's always 1 in there, probably if I use it right with overtime, if I need it. Again, overtime is why I can run this at 1, and I feel confident. Either way, they all give me an anger when I use them. So, and this doesn't give me an anger, and the physical blocks are where a lot of people definitely have a lot of congestion. I mean, I ultimately chose Clamp at 3. I could see Forearm block, but I don't really. If I was playing Growth, or maybe some more cards that like played with the Dragon Balls that didn't just shuffle, like I shuffle my Dragon Balls a shitload, so running like Forearm block doesn't really matter for me. You know, Forearm blocks, so they can't cap the balls. Clamp is just better to me, generally speaking. I mean, Forceful block is cool. If I was running Evolution 1, I would run Forceful block because it's a potential 2 anger card. 3 anger card. But I don't, so again, I don't like the Evolution 1, so I run Clamp. So maybe I'm bad, but and then knee block is just combo, you know, passive. You can rejuvenate this for an anger. You can slap them, a bunch of them in the pile. You're taking damage, you don't endure them, and then all of a sudden you hybrid like 2 or 3 of them, and you get like 3-4 anger, and it's just silly. You just pitch them to level 2, to where you discard it, then immediately rejuvenate to get 2 anger. Just all sorts of stuff. It's really good block. So, but anyway, maybe I guess ultimately the playroom for me would be in the either like a physical block, or it would be my attacks. And ultimately, if it was going to be my attacks, it would be like Cut Rush. It's just been kind of underwhelming. I don't know what I'd put in there, and it's Endurance, so that's mainly why I like it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe maybe you are a fan of running Crushing Beam in here instead of this, or maybe maybe there's some other like less utility physical attack that you like. Maybe you'd run another event that I'm not running. Maybe more blocks. I don't really know. I think this works pretty good. I definitely think Namekian Growth could make it in here. Namekian Fusion's a good card too. I don't really think I need Fusion, but Fusion's pretty good. So, but anyway, this is my list. There's definitely like the biggest thing I'm worried about is like biggest thing with Namekian Knowledge is if you've seen the Dragon Balls, you're doing really good, and if you don't see the Dragon Balls, you're not doing good. So maybe again, Growth would be great for the Dragon Balls, or just some extra actions. But otherwise, I think the list is pretty solid. Save it, say of it what you will. Maybe there's some cards you'd rather run. Maybe you'd rather run Evolution 1, some more anger. You let me know, comment on it, but hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of my thought process when I built this, and maybe this will give you some ideas. Maybe there's some cards you weren't thinking of or you forgot about from the early sets. So, but anyway guys, take it easy. Peace.